All right. Hey, everybody. TG here. Hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. Happy 3-day weekend, and took a little time to thank those around us who are helping protect us in this country. All right. So, wrote a little bit about that. Both my grandparents were in the Air Force back in World War II. My uncle was in the Navy, and my dad was in the Air Force. So, I've got a lot to be thankful for there as well. Anybody who needs to know a little bit about me, if you're not familiar with me, if you're new to this broadcast, come check me out, profitpilot.com. It's profit-pilot.com. And then if you guys like the way I trade, if you like the way I talk about the markets, and you want to find anything else more about me and my services and what I do, trading alerts, classes, the indicator, the Mox indicator, just go over here to click to services, and that's where you can find me. So let's do that, and let's jump right into the market. So what I've been looking for, and so far it seems that it is happening, so this is good, is, we're up here at the 161 area, which, it's going to be one of those upper extensions. We saw that the last time we got to the 127, it kind of had some trouble getting through it as well. We're also up at some extensions based on the monthly and weekly time frame for the S&P. So, there's a good chance that we could be chopping around in this area for a while. That may not be the worst situation. We had the sell in May go away, which was definitely true. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy, as it usually is. But it seems as though we've gotten some recovery. I'm starting to see that actually some names out there are starting to come back alive. We're starting to see that the names that I made millions of dollars off of from November to February, they've taken a break. They all went really, really high. They all went super crazy. We made a bunch of money. Then they took from basically middle of February until just a couple weeks ago, just pulling back. And what I've been seeing them do is pull back really hard down to support on the monthly and weekly time frames. This is good because it means they're not dead and gone. They just had to do a really big multi-week pullback, and now we're starting to see them come back alive. I'll show you some of that in just a moment. But as far as the market goes, if we kind of just hang around here, we're going to have some ups, we'll have some downs. It's going to be kind of choppy. We've been seeing the NASDAQ do this for quite some time. This could be good. It's giving the market some time to breathe and to rest. And if we look at the higher time frames on this, so for the S&P here, I don't know what my monthly has not been working well. I don't know what's going on with that. So just look that it could be taking a little bit of time. Maybe it wants to get a little bit closer to the 21, kind of like what it's done before. And if it doesn't do this by having some brutal pullback, if it just does it by kind of chopping sideways, that's going to be okay. We're going to be okay with that. If we look at the IWM, you can kind of see what it's been doing. It was super hot, super high. That's when we made all the money. And what has it been doing? Other than these tails, look at these tails. Look at all those tails just went to the weekly 21. But the bodies, for the most part, of the candles actually stayed around the 8 EMA. And it's been doing this for a long time. In quite a few months it's been doing this. Not saying that the S&P needs to do it for quite this long, but really, if you think about it, the IWM hasn't fallen apart. It's really just flagging because it was so overbought. It needs to come back to some support, and this is looking pretty all right. And then we kind of look at the NASDAQ, and you can see the same thing. It's just kind of been hanging around sideways. We had a pretty big pullback here to the 21. Then we had our double top, and it's pulling back again. But now, what if it's just hanging out sideways? A neutral market can still be good. That's actually nice because as long as the market's not rolling over, it's just going sideways. That kind of gives a green light to some of the other names if they're ready to go. It allows each name to kind of just do their own thing if they want to do their own thing. And then if we look at, there we go, now we got the monthly. And if we look at the Dow Jones, it could maybe use a little bit of a breather too, because look, it's hopped outside of that third ATR, and well, the monthly seems fine. It's not quite to the third ATR, but it's got some distance between price and the monthly 10, so, give it a little bit of a break. And if we come back to, let's say, the SPY, what I've been looking for is I wanted to see price come back down to the hourly 50. So this worked out pretty well. And actually, on Tuesday, since Monday was a holiday, on Tuesday we opened with a gap up. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, I guess we're not going to be going to the hourly 50 anytime soon. Well, that gap up did not hold, and so we got priced at basically beelined straight to the hourly 50. So this is really part of why I like to be an end-of-day trader, because that gap up, unless you're a morning trader and you're going short with a gap up like that, like me looking long, wasn't the trade. So I had to wait till the end of the day to see what was really going to go on. And if we look closely, you can see that from yesterday into today, we got a little double bottom on the 15-minute time frame. So we're going to give it a little bit more time. I still think it needs some sideways chopping before we really get going. With the NASDAQ, you can see that it has pulled back into the hourly 50 for just a little bit of a trampoline move. So fine, giving that a little bit of time. That was the thing that I was calling for. You know, this gap between price and the hourly 50 is what I was looking to get filled. And now look at this. We actually have the hourly 50 over the hourly 200, which is progress. This is good stuff. This is good news for now. And then, lo and behold, the IWM, this is where I like to play around in. This thing's starting to come alive, and I think what's important, what's telling, is that the NASDAQ and the S&P pulled back pretty hard yesterday. The Dow kind of pulled back, but look at the IWM. It's been up the last few days. It's been up. So this is great. This is incredible. So this is the kind of stuff that I'm seeing for my kind of names that are doing well, and I have been just lighting up the post alerts in the Moxie chat room so that when I... Oh yeah, if you guys didn't see my Instagram, I'm getting married on Saturday, so I'm here today, Wednesday. I will not be here on Facebook and YouTube next Wednesday, so just know that. And then I'll be back middle of June for the next Wednesday YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Periscope session. So I'm going to take a week off. But that's why I've been giving a lot of information to my Moxie subscribers so that they can see everything that I'm looking at, and I've been giving them specific names so they can basically keep working the trades and understand and educate themselves what we're going to be doing for that going forward. So I'm going to not show my entire hand here because, you know, it's paid service. I want to make sure that they're getting the service that they are paying for. And I'm going to be going live with them for the close so that I can give them a final send-off for the next week or two about what I'm seeing, how to take some of these trades, and where we're going to be going with them. Now, sure, at some point, the IWM, you know, we're going to need price to kind of fill that gap between price and the hourly 50. Doesn't have to happen anytime soon, but it's something to watch and look for. But I love the fact that the IWM is up compared to the rest of the indexes. This is great. Austin, yep, I am seeing your AMC, and I've got a good buddy who's been texting me for quite some time. He's making great money off of this. And Austin, maybe you saw this, but look at this. It began two ways. Let me show you, let me zoom in here. It began with, number one, a Moxie price trigger. So look at that. There you go for the Moxie price trigger. And number two, one of my other favorite setups is the trampoline move. And that is when price goes below the 50, but the Moxie indicator is above zero. That's a very bullish signal. That is it's a high buoyancy, high energy, high momentum kind of trade. And there it is on AMC. And you can see I even put a line there because I was paper trading it at the time. And then what you can see on the 15 is it came out and started following the 15-minute 50, and it hasn't looked back yet. This is a tough name to trade. We used to add a lot of these back from November to February. I'm starting to see things start to pick up again, so this is very exciting and really cool. Art, thanks for the congratulations. Do appreciate it. But some of the other names that we're kind of looking at this for these short squeezes. BB. I had another subscriber in the chat ask me about this, and he said, hey, I think it was yesterday, he asked me, is this a good place to buy BB? I said, hey, as long as price stays above the 15-minute 50, it's good. And sure enough, here it is. And from that point where we discussed it yesterday to today, up 22%. So this is another high short interest name that seems as though they're getting squeezed. We're seeing some short squeeze action all over again. Another one was BBBY. Look at that. This is news. Something's going on here. This is news. Maybe not the cleanest setup because I didn't quite see what I wanted to see, but I mean it's up. It took just a tiny bit of a dip here and a dip here. Apparently there's news because 1,000% over average daily volume right now. Yeah, something's going on with that one for news. And then KOSS. This is another one of those high short interest names. If you guys are interested, I'd be playing more of these, except I am checking out tomorrow. So I'm basically starting my wedding honeymoon vacation tomorrow. So I can't really make too many trades right now, but KOSS might be of interest. You can see that there's some big volume coming in on these names. And I'm trying to think, I know that there are still a couple others. How about AI? This one's starting to make some news. I mentioned this to the Moxie subscribers. That's why I had a line here. I mean, look at this, bouncing off of the hourly 50 perfectly. crossing the daily 50 and starting to move up. Now, the only thing that I have an issue with is that earnings are in the next day or two. So if I were trading this, I am perfectly happy trading up to earnings, but I get out for earnings and then I'll hop back in. I just don't like the uncertainty of whatever news event is going to happen because of earnings. So I avoid earnings at all costs. Yeah, thanks guys. Thank you. Do appreciate it. All right, let's see. SHIP. What's going on with this one? Yeah, I think I've talked about this one for a while, and we were looking at it kind of right back here, and it never came to fruition. So that's fine. You know, it never was able to stay over the hourly 50. So you wait. And here's earnings. I like to wait till after earnings. This is why, because there was a little bit of a move up into earnings, but then it went all the way. I am starting to see what you're seeing, Austin. So if you look here on the daily, starting to see that elf shoe, right? Here's the leg, here's the heel, here's the arch of the foot, there's the ball of the foot, looking for that elf toe. And then kind of seeing that level, positive, let me draw that better, positive divergence on the hourly, and price is starting to hold the 15-minute 50, and it looks like it's starting to get over the hourly 50. This might be pretty good. And Austin, the other thing you're probably seeing is, look here, the hourly 50 and the hourly 200 are together, which is good. And they're going in the same direction. Notice that they're both going this direction, whereas before one was going this direction and one was going this direction. So if you start kind of putting all these things together, you sound like, oh, that makes sense. I see what's going on. I see why this might have more potential now than it did before. A lot of what I've been trying to teach the Moxie people are, pay attention to the more major moving averages and the direction that they are going. Corey, good to see you. Thanks, guys. Julio, let's see. Yeah, nice. Julio got BB Best Buy at 1082. Fantastic. And let's see. Sun W. This is another one that I'm liking. This is one of our old school names that we did pretty well. That I mentioned, and we did some on that. And then let's see here. On the weekly and the monthly, this is part of what's happening, guys. This is what I'm trying to communicate to you all subscribers. Come on in if you guys don't know about me and kind of like the way that I see the markets. Look at the monthly and weekly time frame. Remember, we were trading these names from back here up to right here. I mean, this is like AMC currently. This is AMC type stuff. This is GameStop type stuff. These were huge moves. I mean, we were starting to talk about this one here. It ultimately went 445%, whatever. But what happened is they got so overbought. They were so crazy that they just got so far away from their moving averages and got too far away from their moving averages and outside of the third ATRs, all that kind of stuff. And what they do, they finally said, okay, we've had enough. We need to pull back. We need to start finding support. Where was that support? Well, clearly it wasn't on the hourly. It wasn't on the daily. And we had to kind of find a few levels on the weekly. So it turns out that the support seems to be the weekly 50 and the monthly 10. And you know what? I think we're going to start seeing these moves all over again. So I am pretty excited to be seeing this stuff come back alive. I'm a little bummed I'm going to be out for the next week or two. But you know what? I'm seeing these things start to set up such that this is the first move. I think it's the first move. And then in a couple weeks, we'll see them pull back. And then they're going to set up real well on the weekly time frames. And that's going to be the second move. And you all know me. I like the second move because that is when they come to test other support areas. And that's going to be the good moves. So for example, like Sun W. This is only the first move because we are still underneath a downtrending daily 50. Sure, there can be a good move. There can be a solid move. I'm telling people about this one. But there will be a move. The next move I want to see is then price, whenever price can get over the daily 50 and then kind of come back, find some support, and then run with the daily 50. I want to see price go with the daily 50. I don't want to see price just trying to run up into the daily 50. So there can be a move. It's going to be the first move. I want to see the second move. That's going to be the bigger, more important, more exciting move. And I think it'll be just fine that I'm going to be gone for the next week or two. So that'll work out just fine. For example, look at Blink. Here's a good show of, here's price bouncing off of the daily 200. It's crossing over the daily 50. That's a 45% move. So even these first moves can be sizable because these stocks move. We're having a good something today with this one. But you know what? I'm not worried because at some point, they're going to have to pull back and they're going to start to engage with the daily 50. So just like Just like how price is engaging with the hourly 50 and moving with the hourly 50, imagine what kind of move we're going to get when price engages with the daily 50 and the daily 50 starts to move up and we have price following it. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. And it's going to take a while for it to happen, but I'm going to be super excited when it does because, look here. This is what I'm talking about. I want to see when price goes with the daily 50, not just trying to get over the daily 50. So hopefully I've beat that horse enough that you guys understand what I'm trying to get at here, because it's going to be exciting. All right, let's see. Go. Okay, you make a good point here, Al. Because this is starting to show what I want to see. So go. Look, it took a little bit of time to get over the daily 50. If we zoom in here, let me really talk about this one. If you look here, so just like Blink, when Blink went from the hourly 200 and it got over the daily 50, there's a 20% move. Okay, that's pretty healthy. It's really healthy. And then what did it do? You see how price went over the daily 50, and then what? It came back down to test the daily 50 right there. I think it'll get even better, but that's exactly what I'm looking for. When price comes back down to test the daily 50, that's going to be the more legitimate move. And you can see roughly from here to here, another 22% move. Nice. Now, we'll have to keep watching to see if this is going to keep being the move or if there's going to be a even bigger test of the daily 50. But that's the kind of stuff that I want to see. So there you go, Al. Yeah, I'm happy to cover any stock, even if they've burned me in the past, because you know what? You can't hold a grudge against some of these things. Now, maybe they don't work very well for your style. That's okay. But never hold a grudge against a stock. They just don't care about you. All right, and then, where's this name? Was it SENS? Trying to look at my charts down here. All right, so SENS. Yes, this one is on my list. So, Austin, you guys, I was actually going to be talking about this one today in the Moxie room. Now, the only thing I can say is, yeah, it's here at the monthly 10. It's only here at the weekly 30. So a lot of these names I've been seeing have had to drop down to the weekly 50. So we don't quite know if the weekly 30 is going to be strong enough compared to the weekly 50. So we're going to have to go down to the lower time frame to make that assessment. And we go down here and we start looking around and you're like, this actually looks pretty good. Like Blink needed to go down to the daily 200. SENS, SENS, seems like it may not need to go that far down. It's actually starting to work out pretty well. So because I know what you're looking at, you're seeing it, you've got the Moxie eye, look at this. Here's the leg, here's the heel, here's the arch of the foot, there's the ball of the foot. This should be the alpha toe as the 8 is starting to cross over the 21. And this is a trampoline move right there on the hourly chart. So looking pretty good there. And then also, Austin, you've got a good eye this morning. Look, we've now got the 50 over the 200 on the hourly chart. That is progress. We haven't seen this for weeks, if not months, on a lot of these names. Ever since these names started to fizzle mid-February, the 50 has been below the 200 the entire time. Only now am I starting to see that these names are starting to wake up and we're starting to get the 50 to cross over the 200. This is good stuff. This is really good stuff. I'm super excited right now. So I've been trading a little bit. We've made a couple good stuff, but when I get back from the honeymoon, it should be great because these things are only just beginning. Finally. Nice, Al. Yeah. So Gogo's been good for you. Yeah. Al also, SENS has no more moat on the daily chart also. So yes, you guys, man, it feels good. You guys are picking up on this. I'm super thrilled that my education, my terminology, I know they're funny, like elf shoe, moat, all these kind of things. I know it's kind of funny, but it works, right? You guys, when we have an instruction manual like that, we can all talk about the same stuff because you know what I'm talking about. And we can all identify the same thing. So this was the last class I talked about, which was in February. I said, that's the whole point, is I want us to be able to all read the same book. Because if we can all have the same language and read the same book, then we can do something. Because think about it. If we're trying to build a building or we're trying to build a canal or if we're trying to do construction and you're reading Arabic and I'm reading English and somebody's reading French and somebody's reading German, how the heck are we all going to be able to build something? It makes no sense. But if we can all form a common language, I don't care if it's English or whatever, or it can be any language, but if we are all on the common language and we all can then speak the same language and recognize that this is a piece of wood, this is a piece of metal, whatever, then we can actually start working together and building something. And that's what this is all about, is that now we have the common language called the Moxie language, and we can start seeing the same stuff, and then you guys can start making those trades. So I'm here to educate, because I may not always be here. This is also the other thing I talked about in my class, my webinar last time. I may not always be here. Case in point, I'm going to be gone for about 2 weeks. And I want you guys to be able to still kind of make some money because the market's not dead and gone, but I'm gone. So I want to make sure that everybody's educated. Let's see, Alto. Bill, you see this? Look at this. Look at this. We've got the Moxie price trigger right there at the same time price came back down to test the hourly 50. That's the kind of stuff that I like. So that is a really, really great trade. Look at that. You get over the moving average, that's the first move, and then you come back down to test the moving average at the same time that the Moxie indicator crosses over 0. Psh, I mean, what more do you want? That thing's fantastic. You can even see there's a double bottom right there, and then right here followed the 15-minute 50. So that's looking pretty good. We'll have to see how much further this can go. You know, just kind of keep an eye on it, see if it can go up. It does look, it's like it's kind of getting towards the tail end of where it wants to go. You know, you're coming up here on that third ATR, you're coming into a lot of price congestion, and you have not touched the hourly 50 for quite some time. So even though this is a great move, just understand kind of the context of the situation, how far they actually want to go. You know, it does look, you can see here the 15-minute Moxie indicator starting to kind of wear out a little bit. So I think it's still good. Just watch that you're kind of running into some of these upper areas of resistance. Imran, I don't know. I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was wondering if I should do some sort of, I don't know, class or promo or a little pop-up class actually in a couple weeks, because all these moves, let me see what I can think of. Let's do LI, because what I'm seeing, if you look here on the, again, I'm harping on that monthly, weekly time frame. If you look at LI, right now I'm seeing that a lot of names are going from the heel to the arch on the weekly time frame. And if I can time this correctly such that we start to see names start to come back down like this and retest the lows, forming the ball of the foot on the weekly time frame, that is when the next new trend for the names that I like to trade are starting to happen. That's going to be the fun time. That's when I might do a little pop-up something for, you know, Moxie people, or we'll kind of advertise it to a little, you know, other people like Facebook, YouTube here, and say, hey, things are finally starting to kick off. I'm seeing some stuff. Like, all hands on deck. Let's go through all the names. Let's build a watch list, and let's get ready for what I think is going to be the next move up. Even XPEV, you know, these electric vehicles that you know, did so well in the past. Look where they are. They went from the heel to the arch on the weekly time frame. So imagine what these things are going to do when they come back down to the ball of the foot and do a double bottom on the weekly time frame. I'm pretty excited about that. Solo was also, I mean, look, Solo, not even there yet. It's in the process of going from the weekly heel to the arch. So not there yet. It's going to take some time. That's why I'm not too worried about this. I think we've got some fun stuff coming up ahead of us. Solo, you know, look what it's doing. It is finally starting to hold the hourly 50. Notice on the daily chart. Al, I think you probably got this. Austin, you probably see this too. Like, look what's happening. You see how the 8 was below the 21. The 8 was below the 21. The 8 was below the 21. It just kept doing these downtrends. And only now, what are we seeing? The 8 is starting to cross over the 21 on the daily chart. So we've got something different. Bruce, good to see you. Welcome. I'm going to be wrapping up with this in just a few minutes, Bruce, but you know, you guys can catch the replay. So think about it. Solo. It was one of the names that I made 200 or 300% on back in November through February, and the bubble totally popped in mid-February. And since then, they've just been trending down, trending down, trending down, trending down. But now it's happening. Now they're starting to catch support. This is only the beginning. We don't know how much further they're going to go. We don't know if they're going to hold the next move. This is the first move. We need to keep waiting and watching for the second move. So, real super excited about that. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, is that Mo or Ahmed? IDEX? Yeah. So IDEX, I think, yeah, look at this. IDEX is looking great. It's finally starting to do something. You know, these names that we were doing so well back a few months ago, look at this. The bubble burst, and they've just been trending down, trending down, trending down. And you know what? Something's starting to change. Finally, something is starting to change. You can see there's the double bottom. Here's price finally getting over the daily 50. It's finally happening. And look, we've got price holding this. And you know what? Here's the other difference. And Austin, we kind of talked about this one too. Notice that the hourly 200 is actually starting to turn up, whereas the hourly 200 was down, down, down. Now the hourly 200 is up. Something's happening out there. You guys need to be aware of this. All right? There's good stuff happening. SNDL, you got in today. Okay, well, out maybe a little on the late side. Okay, I will say that. Just careful. It's maybe a little on the late side. But because, for me, I'm looking at this. Again, this is the first move, but it's a good move. But look, you're starting to get outside of that third ATR. Now, this could be like an AMC stock. SNDL has been part of one of those Reddit stocks, the meme stocks. This is one of those stocks. I made a crap ton of money on this back in November to February. It was one of my biggest trades. It was one of the ones that helped me make $2 million in a day was SNDL. I love this stock, okay? I get it. But I have this wedding coming up and it's just like, all right, I can't really trade too much right now. But look at this. There was a trampoline move here. You can see leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot. There's your elf toe. Cool. And it's been following the 15-minute 50 very, very well right there. I will say, I really only think that this is the first move, okay? It's a great move. I think it's the first move. Do be careful. I don't know how far this thing is going to go. Maybe it's going to turn into an AMC thing. But we are only just beginning to get the 50, the hourly 50 crossing over the 200, and this is only the first time that price is getting over the daily 50. The second move is going to be whenever price comes back down and meets the daily 50, and then we can get it. That will be the next big major trend, okay? So super excited for all this stuff, guys. Really, really excited. But I think there will be plenty of meat on the bone for when I get back. And as I said, if you guys aren't in the Moxie class or the Moxie room, come on in a couple weeks, and then we'll be hitting it hard because this stuff's looking alive and everything's coming back, and I'm real happy about it. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to leave you there. If you do have any questions and you want to learn a little bit more about me, profit-pilot.com. You come over here, check it out. I've got all sorts of stuff. I think I've got YouTube stuff, Facebook stuff. So just go look around. I'm a pretty open book. I tell you guys what I'm up to, what I'm doing, how I work. And if you like my style and how I trade, come on board. As I said, I'm going to be gone until mid-June for the wedding, honeymoon. But when I come back, it's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun. All right, guys. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you later.